Welcome back to another video on Gearsaw Studios, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build a fancy nether tunnel, because 1.20 is right around the corner, and you don't want to be going to the new chunks in your world with one of these over here. They work, but they're pretty boring, so might as well make something more interesting. Without further ado, onto the tutorial. First off, our palette. We're going to be using polished blackstone, crimson planks and stripped logs, crimson nylium, dark oak trapdoors, lanterns, soul soil is a necessity, and some nether brick fences. You can substitute all the crimson things with warped if you're going through a warped forest, or potentially some other gray blocks if you're going through basalt delta. Essentially, try to make a unique version depending on the biome you're going through. Then, find yourself an area that you're willing to bore through or build through, although I'd recommend boring through walls with this design, and start by placing a small platform so that way you can stand here. Use this polished blackstone in order to outline what you want, and then we want to make sure that it is not perfectly rectangular. So you go up, and then use some stairs to converge in the middle. A basic design has been set up with this framing right here, and when making your individual frames, you need to make sure that they do not intrude on elytra flying capabilities, because once you have an elytra, it's going to be pretty annoying using the tunnels, and that just invalidates them. Not good. That's the main problem with making simplistic tunnels like these, because although you might go fast using ice boats or just normal walking, still, if you need to use your elytra, it just wouldn't be that efficient. Therefore, make sure you can reasonably fly through it. A good way to test this is to just fly through your tunnel before it's finished, even if you end up crashing into the wall at the end. But, step 1, put some soul soil down the middle, because if your elytra breaks, this is the fastest way to go without ice boats, and sometimes those can get annoying. So, place down some soul soil in the middle. Step 2 in making these tunnels is you need to recess the walls by 1 and place down your main wall block. This can be warped planks, crimson planks, or any other block you see fit. Right now, I'm just going to go with a very basic crimson palette. It's a little dull, but it's okay, we'll add some color later. Once you go up to around this height, we want to make them go with stairs just like our main framing. Because when we do that, we make it, look like the framing is doing something by having it a little bit more inward. Therefore, it needs to go a block higher than the framing itself. And then we have the very top block. For exterior portions, which are built differently, we will not have this part. The walls are now in, with small crimson planter boxes and smooth basalt flooring. We can see it's starting to come together, so we want to start adding a couple of nether brick fences around. We will place torches on these, although it might not work out in the end, so you can replace them with chandeliers in the middle. They aren't very complex, but just by doing this, if you don't plan to use an elytra in these tunnels, is a nice way to add some detail to them. Although, if none of these work out, it's completely fine to not use nether brick fences at all in the build. But try to find a way into incorporating them, and make sure that polished blackstone is lining your soul sand, or soul soil. From here, we have some candles, and one segment is almost complete. The only thing left is a very small amount of landscaping, fungus on both sides, then some roots, and then we have one individual thing done. Then, when you extend it, make sure that you know what biome you're in, judging by the particles. If there are none, you're in a nether waste. If there are red ones, you're in a crimson forest. Gray, basalt delta. Very few gray ones, soul sand valley. And if they're blue, a warped forest. Judging by what place you're in, edit your palette as needed. Remember that warped, of course, has, warped blocks, If you're in a soul sand valley, I recommend bones and deep slate bricks. And if you're in a basalt delta, polished basalt plus blackstone bricks. Because all these are nether blocks excluding the deep slate, but they all look in fashion. So do that as you go along. We have all 4 different biome variants of this. We can see Crimson Forest and Nether Waste, 2 very similar biomes, get, the same thing. Then we have the Warped Forest. It's just this, but palette swapped. We get a little bit different in the Soul Sand Valley because we use Deep Slate and Bones, along with some Soul Fire instead of plants. And then, for the Basalt Delta, we straight up just use lava and candles on the top. Also, no nether bricks here, just use blackstone. You can see that this place is looking pretty nice, especially this one. Therefore, I recommend it if you're going through the nether a lot. Although, if you are going to be building the tunnels I have outside, you should probably just build these ones. So, we have 2 things left. How to do an intersection, and then how to do an exterior. I'm going to be doing the exterior first, and this involves covering up all the interior blocks, such as the crimson planks, with some netherrack or applicable blocks of the area, and then we continue the tunnel without walls, so continue soul soil and blackstone. Here we have an exterior section. We do need to add some lighting to it, but otherwise you can see it links up into this by removing the recessed walls and replacing them with glass. We can see we are able to transition to and from this design according to the situation. And we see none of the crimson from this angle. Although you might have to continue replacing random things with netherrack, still sometimes that's just not possible. So as good as you can make it, add torches, and then for our final part, we now need to angle this place in order to have a transition. Therefore, we add another little staircase upward like this, and then we make a 4-way intersection. Starting off from a 4-way is a good way to learn, and then you can reduce the amount of ways it goes as you need. Over here, we now have 4 columns. You can see this is the beginnings of a 4-way intersection, and you can definitely do the same design on the inside. Because the walls are recessed, almost nothing changes. If you want to block off an intersection on the interior though, you can place a wall right here where my cursor is. But you just make your soul sand go across and make your intersection. No roof for here because elytra port. So now you have a place where you can start building for it, and otherwise it's a very simple process, and we can immediately resume back to the interior-exterior portions, because this part is, well, very much exterior with no walls. Now we have an exterior intersection where we can see it's a 3-way. The 4th way, because all of them start off as 4-way, just won't have any glass, which makes it a nice way to fly in with an elytra. Because one of the main things with enclosed nether tunnels, such as these ones, because sure, they're pretty simple and they don't even look too bad, but they can be annoying to access, because you'll need to have access holes, and that just doesn't work out too well sometimes, especially because the size of these bridges would result in small holes. Therefore, making these fancy ones provides you a nice safe way to get in, and then you have some glass to look outside. So, if you need a good way to get around your nether, build one of these. You can even add some hanging signs the day after this video comes out, and now you will be able to tell where you go from the hanging signs. If that's not your thing, place on some color coding, because if you have the time and resources, there isn't much of a reason to not build this unless you're not using the nether much. Unless, of course, you want to use ice boats, and even then, you could just, sink down the main floor here and add ice instead. So there really isn't any reason to not build fancy pathways like this. And with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. And even if you don't want to or didn't enjoy it, enjoy the rest of your day. Gearsaw out.